Hello again. Today's episode is going to be recorded in English. We thought with my guest that it would be nice to share our stories, experiences about fashion in this language, because I think we all might have similar questions, or everyone is seeking for some answers when it comes to what to wear and how to wear it. So we are addressing this topic today, and for that I invited Beatrix Hideg, Bea, my dear friend, who is a stylist as well. So I thought, why should I talk to you alone about what I think about fashion without a specialist? So here it is, Bea. Welcome to the podcast, and thank you for accepting my invitation.
Thank you very much for having me.
So let's start maybe with you, because I'm super curious about your connection with clothes. What role does clothing play in your life?
Yeah, so first of all, it's a creative outlet for me. I love to dress up, try different combinations of my clothes. So every day you can create something new, like kind of an art form as well. And as an art form, I like to admire different clothes on others or on the internet, in the streets. So these are the two main aspects. And it started when I was a child, when I was 3-4 years old maybe. And I loved to put on my grandma's shoes and admired her hats and clothes. And I think already it showed that I have some kind of passion for clothing.
So you were wearing your grandma's big shoes and then just trying to walk in them?
Yes, there is actually a picture of it, that I was trying to walk in her boots. So exactly, yeah, I really showed an interest early on. And now in my life, it's like a more conscious tool, I think.
When it comes to me, I think I'm a little bit the opposite, because my grandma and my mom used to have almost no clothes, so they shared their clothes, and they grew up, or my mom grew up without having the possibility of having different kind of clothes, so this diversity. And I think because of that, kind of early I developed this urge to somehow showcase who I am with the way how I dress. So whenever she tried to dress me up, I think when I was 10 or 11, I was like, nope, I'm not wearing, nope, definitely not. And of course, at the beginning, you cannot really say what you want to wear or what you don't want to wear. But I think that that's definitely the first experience and memory when I already knew that I want myself to decide what I want to wear.
Oh, that's interesting. So it was a question of identity and expressing your identity for you.
Yes. When people are asking me or giving me compliments, of course, it's nice, but it is also who I am. And this is showing myself, showing that I can be different. I have different moods. And it is a great tool to showcase it every day. What I also want to bring up is talking about femininity. So I recently started going to a therapist again, and we discovered this whole topic, what does it mean to be a woman? What are, for me, the different kind of traits of being one? And as we were starting to, learn more and more about it, or learn more about myself, then I think I also started wearing more feminine clothes. So the more I understood about myself, accepted those values that I have, then I started dig out my dresses, skirts, high heels, and started wearing them again. What do you think? What is behind these changes of what we wear?
Clothing is one of the easiest forms of nonverbal communication. So you can put on something and people already have a perception of you in a matter of seconds. So if there is a change in you going on, that's the easiest and the quickest way to communicate it. And interestingly, some people say, I don't care what I wear, I'm not interested in clothes. But that's also a way of communication, and then you also make a statement of yourself when you don't care and you just put on whatever, and you will deliver a message to the other people. So I always say, no matter if you care or not, you will communicate something about yourself. So it's a tool you can utilize, and it would be a missed opportunity to not to utilize it.
And what do you think people who don't care about what they wear are communicating?
Yeah, it can be communicating that they are in a phase of their life when it's not a priority. For example, I think when you see moms, you can understand that it's not their number one priority because they are taking care of their children. So they just put on whatever. But it can be communicating other messages as well. For example, that you are untrustworthy if you are, for example, in a professional environment and you don't dress for this environment. Or that you are sloppy. So it can have different messages depending on the context and the audience.
Do you think then that it's always better to be overdressed than underdressed?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's always better to be safe, a bit overdressed. And then you might then stand out a bit, but not in a negative way.
What's also interesting when it comes to noticing what people wear is that I found a quote from Dr. Marilyn Mayer. She's a cognitive psychologist, and she said that clothes are the closest thing to our bodies. They are our second skin. And I think that really resonates with what you just shared.
Yes, because it's, like a societal expectation to put on clothes. You cannot go out naked. So that's something you have to do for the rest of your life every day. So I had a client as a stylist who was a mother and who was in this transitional phase of her life because she became a businesswoman. And she used to work before becoming a mother in this corporate environment for many years. So her old clothes came from this corporate era dressing. And then she became a mother, so her priority was comfort. And then she became an entrepreneur, and she came to me to help with rebuilding her wardrobe for this new role and for this new chapter of her life. And I think that's when a lot of people can be lost because their old clothes don't represent anymore what they want to communicate and what's this new chapter of their life, and they are a little bit lost with that, what to put on and how to express their personality, but also communicate that they are a successful businesswoman and to be taken seriously.
Mm-hmm. What was your suggestion? How to be taken more seriously? I'm super interested.
Yeah, so in her case, we kept the comfort factor. So it was important that her clothes are comfortable. But on the other hand, we incorporated a bit more elegant pieces. Actually, she had many of those clothes in her wardrobe, but for example, she had no pants to wear them with. So she had a ton of tops and blouses, but only a few pants. And that was a real aha moment that she already has these pieces, but she needs just one single piece to really make use of them.
So we see that clothing isn't just about self-expression. It is also about we try to project something, who we are, who we want to be. So we project wealth, status, or even mask vulnerabilities that we feel inside. So for example, what comes to my mind is, when you are like before 18, when I was like 16 or 15, I started wearing high heels, but like really big high heels, because I thought that that's gonna make me look older, and that's what will bring me into those clubs. Or those boys wearing watches, for example, specific ones, so then they make themselves look more like manly. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but still they just try to project something. And then another thing that came to my mind is wearing, for example, shirts, blouses, especially in menswear with logos. What do you think, what drives our purchasing behavior? Is there like a healthy way?
Yeah, so first of all, we thrive for a sense of belonging. So if we want to belong to a group, for example, then we start dressing like them. And it's because we want to be accepted by them. And a good example for that, for example, are punks. They have a certain way of dressing. And then if you want to belong, you start incorporating these style elements. But also we can talk about the finance bro puffer vest that we have seen a lot on social media, that with the blue shirt, they wear the blue puffer vest, and they are trying to show this status and what they do. So yeah, that's one thing behind it. And then there's also the sales techniques and what fashion industry and retail wants you to do is consume more and more. So our purchasing behavior is also influenced by, for example, the end of season sales, when everything is reduced up to 60-70%, and you are pressured to buy new things that are on sale that you don't necessarily need.
How about the group and the people I am surrounded with?
Yeah, that is a good point. So that's also important. Because if you're surrounded with wealthy people, or people who have, for example, more money than you, then you also try to buy more expensive clothes, clothes that show that you have a higher status than you actually. And also, this is a good method for the con artists as well. For example, Anna Sorokin, who tried to make people believe that she's an heiress, and what she was wearing and her style was an important part of it. Also, Elizabeth Holmes, who started dressing like Steve Jobs to make the impression that she's a successful entrepreneur. In reality, she wasn't.
Wearing black turtlenecks.
Yes, that was the exact piece, and red lipstick, I think. And but on the other hand, men do this as well. For example, Tinder swindler is also a good example because he had very great style and suits, and he was wearing expensive clothes to project this status that he actually didn't have.
What I would like to add to it is that I also see that some people are following, let's say, influencers, right?
Yes.
They are following a certain trend. My favorite now, I don't like it, but I see it on everybody, is the leopard print. I feel like it is also, in a way, covering yourself up, because then if I follow a trend, I'm more acceptable.
Yes. So we don't want to seem like old-fashioned or someone who is not paying attention. So to stay relevant, we do follow and implement the trends, often without thinking, is this really me? Is this really authentic to me? And that's when we don't end up wearing these clothes because they don't really represent us. We just want to stay fashionable and really follow the current trends.
Yeah, and they often, stay there for a couple of months.
Yes, they are changing like faster than ever. So in a few months, we will have entirely new trends. And there are, of course, some that tend to stick around for seasons, but now it's changing very rapidly. I also wanted to add the trend of old money. And old money style, for example, because we talked about like trying to show that you belong to a group. So I think this trend is a perfect example for that people try to show that they are wealthy, but like not the new wealth, but trying to dress like people from old money. And it's really interesting how it became like a huge global trend.
Mm-hmm. And then can you describe the old money style?
Yes, so it's a very sophisticated clothing, very well-cut clothes, simple without any logos, neutral colors, so nothing that really screams and shouts. So it's a really like clean style, but on the other hand, elegant and sophisticated.
Connected to that, and also that we are, there are these trends that come and go. Maybe the old money style can stay for a longer time period. Hopefully some of you watched Emily in Paris. And I watched recently a video with the designer who is behind all those clothes. What was very interesting for me is that she mentioned specifically that she is never putting clothes on Emily or the other cast members with the trendiest clothes, because what she wants to create is like a timeless experience. And she was also the same, I think, the designer of the Sex in the City. And when you watch it back and rewatch it, I think the clothes are amazing. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I want to wear it. And I had the same experience, or like I had the same thoughts when I watched it 5 years ago, 6 years ago. But then, for example, I like different kind of clothes. So that was also a big learning point, that you don't necessarily need to follow what people are saying. Just have those timeless pieces, let's say a polka dot dress or blouse.
Yes, so it's kind of like admiring art, what I mentioned in the beginning. So you don't have to own it, just you can admire it from the distance. So I can say I love these clothes, but I don't necessarily have to own them. But yeah, I think the magic of this series comes down to these like very extraordinary pieces that are not basic at all in the coloring, in textures, in the cuts. Especially in Emily in Paris, they are combined together. So they are like really loud with loud colors and pattern mixing and everything. It's like so over the top that I think that was like an intention to create that in this like very refined, elegant Parisian environment that Emily comes in from New York, and she's like trying to kind of like blend in and implement classic style elements, but still she's like very loud and out there.
Yeah, and not necessarily clothes that you would wear, of course. Like, I think sometimes they are like, what is this? But then it is just like a series about a girl who falls in love into multiple men and all this kind of stuff. But still, I really admire that the designer was very like open to, just experiment with clothes.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun and exciting. And it's like a fantasy world, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about reality, which is that you recently moved here to Copenhagen, Denmark, where we are now recording 4 months ago. And I am super curious to hear more about what you noticed. You are also from Hungary, just as me. How has the change in the country affected your style?
Yeah, so definitely I have purchased more oversized pieces that a lot of people wear here, and functional clothing that is needed because of the weather and because of cycling. So I bought rubber boots and waterproof clothing. That was essential, and I understood why a lot of people are wearing it here. But also I think I have more comfortable clothing as well ever since, because obviously it's really a factor here that you need to move around, you need to bike, and that requires comfortable clothes as well. But the oversized pieces, it's interesting that I bought them before coming here, but I already had like a kind of sense for what is coming up for me.
Did it change then your style or what you are wearing?
Not necessarily. I just incorporated these elements to my existing wardrobe and experimented with combining with the pieces I already owned.
Mm-hmm. And I definitely agree that here, I think wearing oversized stuff has been going around for, I think, a couple of years, actually. And when we take a look back what people wear in Hungary, it's still the skinny jeans. And actually the skinny jeans, I think, are coming back. So
They are.
We just stayed in Hungary and waited until it comes back. And now it's back. Time to wear it.
Yes. So there are big differences that I noticed. So I think in Hungary, women tend to dress more feminine way, and then maybe be more safe with their dressing. So here, women tend to experiment more, combining with the oversized pieces with other oversized pieces. That's something you don't really see at home. And also androgynous clothing. So for example, we went to Uniqlo a couple of days ago, and they have unisex clothes, so the same jackets and vests and scarves for both men and women. So that's something you don't see at home.
Yeah, because at home I think it's more the French style, I think, where you wear one oversized clothing and then usually you go for the, I don't know, skinny jeans or opposite with something like a very tight top with loose trousers or something like that. Whereas here, I also see that it's more experimenting with oversized, which can look super cool.
Yes, and they are doing it so effortlessly. So I'm really inspired by what I see in the streets here and what outfits people are wearing.
How about menswear?
Yeah, that's also a really interesting topic, because what I noticed at home when we were shopping for my boyfriend, that we don't really have stores that carry only specifically menswear. So yeah, you have these suit shops and elegant wear, but not the casual wear for men. And here you have many options and many stores that cater to men, and therefore this variety clothes also shows on the streets. So men are dressed very elegantly. On the other hand, they are cycling in their suits.
Yes.
So yeah, I've seen really inspiring men's outfits as well. They have a very refined, sophisticated style here, which I don't really see at home, because if people have money, they tend to buy the logo stuff.
Yeah, the Tommy Hilfiger shoes, vests, even, I think, T-shirts. And then mixing the logo with the logos.
Yes. So their style is not so refined as here. It's more like loud out there and trying to like show off these brands, whereas here you don't really see it here.
Yeah, I think they definitely hide, or they are just not interested showing how much you have. And I think that also brings up the law of Jante, which is coming from a Danish-Norwegian author, Sandemølle. I hope I'm pronouncing it well. Oh my God. He has 10 rules, and I think that is super important to mention, that is also in a way connected to their mentality. I mean, Danish people, or rather maybe Scandinavians. The first rule is that you are not to think you are anything special.
Yeah, it's interesting that people tend to dress quite uniformly here, so you don't really see loud pieces, even the colors, like a lot of earthy tones. I rarely see any loud colors. And what brings something unique here is, I think, the brand Ganni, for example. Mm-hmm. They have these uniquely cut pieces, printed pieces. Yeah, people don't really wear prints. That's also interesting here. And yeah, they bring these unique pieces. If you want to have a personal touch to your outfit, then you can incorporate something from them, because they really have these high quality and well cut pieces that have something extra in them.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's nice to have one extra thing and then wear everything around it.
Yes, you can incorporate these pieces and you can build it into your outfit.
By the clothes we wear, we actively communicate about ourselves and how we want to be seen. We are also strategically nudging our behavior in one way or another. So, for example, if there is a job that requires you to show your authority and that you have a competence, then wearing, for example, a suit and a tie might be something that will just create and boost an aura of confidence and dominance. Then, for example, if you want to work in a team, then probably changing your clothes to something that is more casual and is not shouting out that I'm different, I'm special, then that might also symbol that you want to have a good relationship with them and enhance cooperation. But then, we are in Denmark where everything is allowed and everything is accepted. Of course, it depends if at work you have a dress code where you specifically need to follow some rules. But then, my question is that how to navigate in this world where we constantly get messages of this is what you should be doing, you should be wearing these kind of patterns or no patterns or just blend in. So there are a lot of questions probably.
Yes, so it's important to learn to read the room. So what kind of occasion it is, what kind of environment, what's the audience you're dressing for. So that can help a lot. And also, I think within these frameworks, you can have like anchor pieces that are personal to you. For example, as accessories, I have an earring that I got from my grandma, or you can have a scarf or something that's like unique and special to you and build your outfit around that. And then you can still have a touch of personality in your outfit, but also follow the rules and meet the expectations.
Let's say you have that earring, that's your starting point in the morning when you want to dress up. That I want to wear these earrings. What goes well with that?
Yes. So you can build up on that and you can build your whole outfit around that. And then you will still have something unique to you in your outfit. So I think it's like a balancing act to find balance between blending it in and also standing out a bit and showing yourself and showing your personality.
When it comes to showing yourself, I found something which is called dopamine dressing. Do you want to talk about it?
Yes, we can. So dopamine dressing is anything that makes you feel happy and confident and boosts your dopamine levels. So it doesn't necessarily have to be really colorful, but what makes you feel good about yourself.
And I also found a study that it doesn't necessarily need to be clothes that are visible from the outside. It can be also your underwear. If you just want to feel, more confident, then wear that specific colored or your favorite underwear, because that can also boost confidence based on the studies.
Yeah, it's interesting. Others don't see it, but it's there.
Yeah, when you think about a specific situation that's coming, very challenging, let's say an interview, it is always nice to try to think about how I want to be seen and how I want to feel. And for that, taking that extra step of, opening your wardrobe and saying, okay, what makes me feel confident? Because they want a person who is, let's say, creative and confident. Then what can I do with my clothes? What is a creative clothing and what makes me feel confident?
Yes. What we wear can highly influence our cognitive processes. For example, if you already mentioned the high heels, if they give you confidence, then you will feel more confident and others will also perceive you in that way. So I have a story about the glasses I used to wear, for example, for exams. Because if you think about it, in all the movies, all the clever characters are wearing glasses. For example, in Legally Blonde, when she goes to the university, she's wearing these like thick-framed black glasses. Yeah, so for example, for me, wearing the glasses represented being seen as more smart. And actually, it really helped with the exams. So it's interesting how this one item in my wardrobe could influence how I would perform in the exam.
For me, I try to cover up my identity and just wear something very simple that is following the rules, and everybody is gonna think that now I am valued based on what I know and not based on what I wear.
Oh, so you wanted to show it with your knowledge instead of how you dressed.
Yeah, exactly. I think so. That was a journey to realize that and make steps towards it. Or not make steps towards it, but rather release that barrier.
I read an article about how different personality types dress, for example, introverts and extroverts.
Uh-huh.
So extroverts prefer V-neck line and shorter hemlines and more tight-fitting clothes, whereas introverts often use their clothing as a cocoon, so they use more oversized pieces in their wardrobes and flats, for example.
But then, just to clarify, I don't believe that there is such a thing that there is an extrovert and introvert. So it is always a little bit moving in between, within.
Yes. So you cannot really generalize on that. I think maybe it's more of the perception of other people if they see someone in that piece. But it's always a mix, and it's really personal that they can kind of hide in. Mm-hmm. So that gives them a shield, for example.
And how about different body shapes?
It's interesting that we used to have these like fruit shapes, the apple and the pear and the carrot. And now we are kind of moving away from it. At least the philosophy that I have as stylist is that we are really unique. Our lines are unique. And yeah, David Kibbe has this system of body types that's different. That's based on like the lines you have, the sharp and soft edges of your body and face. And combining them, you get like 5 main types: dramatic, classic, gamine, natural, and romantic. Mixing these, you get 13 body types. And I think that much better represents this variety we have, and that's a much better way of helping someone if the person wants to have their clothes in harmony with their body and their lines.
And I think we talked about it before recording, actually some years ago, when you also said that when you know what type you are, then it's also nice to actually look for those actors, what is their style, what they are wearing probably, and usually they are working with stylists, but then maybe creating like a Pinterest board. And I recently started doing that, and just, saving whatever I feel like would make me feel confident, would make me feel good, and also a little bit goes well with that specific, how you call it?
Body type. Yes, it's a great idea actually, because you can be inspired by those celebrities. They are wearing a lot of clothes and a lot of different outfits, so you can easily find something that resonates with your personal style as well and enhances your body type too. So having that Pinterest board or like a folder in your phone with pictures can help a lot when you are a bit lost on what to wear, or you just want to experiment a bit with your clothes.
When it comes to wearing outfits, I want to share a study that I found about wearing suits from 2014. What they did is that they split 2 groups. One, they asked that they need to wear suits, and the other one, sweatpants. And then what was very interesting, all of them got the same task, which was to basically get a business deal. So it was like a simulated experiment. And suited participants won over $2 million in this task compared to the sweatpants group, who ended up losing $1.2 million. So then it shows that the outfits that you choose really matters, because it might also have an impact on how you and what you achieve.
Yes, so in these studies, I think they proved that it has an impact on your cognitive processes, what you wear. So in this other study where they had the lab coats, and one group was wearing the lab coats and while they were having an exam, and the other group was just having the lab coat in the room, but they weren't wearing it, just looking at it. The lab coat group had much higher a number of correct answers on this test than the other group. And they found that it really did influence their cognitive processes, and that's why they performed better. So it really has a huge impact what you wear on how you perform, for example, in a business deal or in another situation. It can be utilized to perform better. And we have the term dress for the job. So if you aspire to be a manager, for example, then you can start dressing for it. And it will not only help the external world to see you in this role, but also boost your confidence and really your cognitive abilities.
We are talking about an industry where fast fashion is crucial to mention. So let's talk about that. Fast fashion is a $136.19 billion industry as of 2014, and it has grown by more than 10% from the previous year, and it is further estimated to reach $291.1 billion by 2032. According to Lauren Bravo, the author of How to Break Up with Fast Fashion, we only tend to wear 10% of our clothes on a day-to-day basis, which is mind-blowing for me. Maybe it is coming from the US. I'm not sure about that. But I think some of the listeners might also agree that they are only wearing their 10% or maybe 20% of their clothes on a daily basis. My question is that how would you convince somebody that buying one good quality item is better than 5 cheap items of the same price?
Yeah, so first of all, I wanted to bring in a term from my business studies, the Pareto principle, that 20% of the actions is actually responsible for 80% of the results. So when it comes to your wardrobe, you wear around 20% of your clothes actually. And so if you buy one piece instead of 5, that's exactly 20%. So then you will buy that one piece that you end up actually wearing, even if you buy 5. The second is the cost per wear. If you buy a more expensive item that you are going to wear for years and years because it's a great quality, it's not going to fall apart after the second wash.
A good example might be a blazer.
Yes. So blazers are great investment pieces if they are made of good materials, preferably natural. So for example, wool, because that will last longer. And also better for the environment than polyester. So if you wear it many times, then this cost per wear comes down to nothing. And actually, I remember one Hungarian style professional saying that in the end, you will not remember for how much you bought that piece. It won't really matter after many years because you have used it for such a long time that you say, I would buy it again, even for a higher price because it was worth it. So it's always aiming for these pieces that are going to last longer and that you can wear many times over years. And the third point actually relates to that, because if a piece lasts longer and is not like really fashionable one that's currently in trend, but in the next year it's not going to be, then after years, if you decide, okay, I don't feel like this is me anymore, I want to sell it, then you can sell it even for the price you bought it. So it's better to keep these clothes in the circulation and have someone else wear it for years to come than throwing it out.
You know, I was also thinking about that some people do it, that they buy those high quality clothes and then they sell it so they can still have a profit on it. What are these clothes that you can basically get some profit on it? Because I think that we should talk about this because we have, you know, the fast fashion, and sometimes when you buy Zara stuff, you won't get the same price of it.
Yeah, so of course there are certain brands, for example, luxury brands that are both high quality and have this resale value and keep their value. But also vintage pieces, they are very popular, especially with Gen Z, and they have lasted already for like 30-40 years.
Yeah.
And they will last for at least 10 more years, so you can resell them, and there is also a market for them. So yeah, luxury pieces and vintage pieces. And I always encourage people buying a second-hand, because I think a lot of people say, I won't buy these brands because they are too expensive, I cannot afford them. But second-hand, you can get really great deals, and it's better for the environment as well.
You know, another thing that is actually might convince that person to buy instead of 5 one high quality clothing is also how much room you have in your wardrobe.
Yeah, it's a great point, because if you buy those 5 items and you potentially don't wear 4 out of them, you still have to store them somewhere, and we have a finite place in our wardrobe So you either need extra storage place in your apartment, or your clothes are going to cramp in your wardrobe, and in the end you don't even see what you have. So it's going to create more and more problems and headache for you in the future that you can spare with only buying that one piece that you really actually going to wear and you love.
Yeah, and I think that there is a myth going around that some people say, nowadays these clothes, they last only for 1 year. And let me stop you. Like, no, this is not the truth. It shouldn't be, right? It shouldn't be the case that after 1 year, you are just throwing them away and you are just cutting them and they're going to be a cloth that you are like cleaning up. It shouldn't be the case. It should be long-lasting quality materials. Of course, if we talk about a white t-shirt, unfortunately, it can get yellow in some specific places. And then, yeah, you need to rebuy it or buy something else or look for another brand. But in general, I think that these clothes should last for longer.
Yes, and you should look for the clothes in the shops that are good quality. So they are well sewn, they are a great cut, they have a material that is going to last. So I think it takes time and like some reading to learn what to look for, even with touching, to feel how the material feels like, or if you can wash it, for example, because for me it's a problem sometimes that you wash it and it just loses the texture or loses its form. So it's important to also consider this, that you will have to take care of that item, and if you can take it to the dry cleaner, if not, then look for pieces that can be washed in the washing machine. A lot of pieces can that where it's written you cannot wash them, you can still. But yeah, it really requires some research and paying attention before you make that purchase decision.
And another tip that I would like to mention, what I try to do, because of course I like clothes, and then it becomes a problem because then I'm just like piling up all the clothes. It's not that horrible. I think I changed it and it's now getting better and better. But how I made it better is that whenever I like something, first of all, it needs to fit me and there are certain criteria. But then I question myself, for example, do I have clothes to wear with it? So if it's, let's say, it's a green beanie, that I bought recently, then I started to think, okay, but do I have a scarf? Like, what is the color of my coat? Does it like go well together? Like, should I really buy it? Even though, it's like not an expensive piece of item, it is really important to see if it's gonna fit the clothes that you already have. So you don't need to buy another coat.
It's actually really strategic how you do it, and it's great because you already have a wardrobe and your existing pieces, and you always have to think how that will go with them and how you can incorporate it with these existing pieces. And yeah, if you need to buy another thing to be able to wear it, it might not be a good choice for you. It can be for someone else, but not for you. So it's important to be more conscious before making these decisions. And I think also what important is authenticity. Is it really me, this piece? Or is it just recommended by an influencer or was worn by someone else? Looks great, but it would neither go with my existing pieces nor with my personal style. And then you have to like just step away a bit and say, okay, acknowledge that it looks great. It's an amazing piece, but not for me.
Let's also talk about your clients, and maybe let's come up with a scenario. So you have a client who is difficult and challenging because, let's say it's a she. She's not really focusing on what she wears. She prefers clothing that is practical, but still she would like to be more feminine. But then, when it comes to practicalities, she just needs to be able to move from A to B fast as possible without having this itchy feeling and tight stuff on her. And she has no time to buy clothes. Also, she's not sure what looks well on her. So what would you start working on with her?
It's funny because I know a person like that. So I have personal experience with that. So I think then I don't try to change this. So if the number one preference is comfort, then that's going to be the top priority when we start looking for clothes. With people who don't like shopping, I think it's better to like really strategically go to a store where I'm sure I can find comfortable pieces that are made of very comfortable materials, soft materials that feel good on the skin. But on the other hand, are also feminine. And I think it's a huge misconception that if you want to dress feminine, that you have to wear uncomfortable clothes. Because there are pieces of clothes that are both comfortable and are very feminine. So you just have to know where to look for. So a lot of people, I think, have no idea. And that's where a stylist can come in. So I can recommend places either to go together or by herself to look for these ones. And yeah, if we don't find anything, that's also okay. Then we can have a list of what to look out for the next time she's going shopping or she's online. So yeah, it's not impossible.
Could you give us an example? What could be those, clothes that are still comfortable and feminine?
I have, for example, this cotton dress that's made out of this like stretchy cotton material, and it's so comfortable, very soft. So mine is like a bodycon one, but it can be, for example, an A-line skirt, and it's both comfortable and very feminine. And whenever I wear it, I feel like I'm wearing like joggers or something. So it's really comfortable, but it can be very elegant. I can wear it a bit more sporty. So I think these pieces, for example, dresses that can be layered, because layering is also a great trick, that can be layered under something else, or you can put on, for example, a sweater if it's colder, or a blazer if you want to look more elegant. Also from blazers, you have the stretchy ones. They are more comfortable and also paying attention to the lining, that it's soft to the body. For sweaters, the wools can be like really itchy. A lot of people cannot tolerate them, and also there is a difference in the quality of wool. So there are actually soft wool pieces. You just have to find one, and often they are these really itchy ones. So yeah, there are options. You just have to look for them, and sometimes like that takes time. It won't happen for the first try, so you have to be a bit more patient.
For me, I think those are the loose trousers. That's definitely giving the vibes of, it's super comfy, but then I still can wear, I don't know, high heels with it, or like a really nice button-up shirt.
Yeah, actually, it's a great trend, I think, because it's both comfortable and can be dressed up or down with sneakers or with high heels. So I can understand why you prefer them.
Before we close our conversation, I have a question. What is one thing you would recommend a Danish person to wear? And then also give another advice to a Hungarian one.
Oh, so you mean like how they can change up a bit their clothing?
Yes. What would you recommend?
I think like trying to incorporate a pattern. And you can start small, for example, with a belt or a scarf or a pair of shoes. So I think it's like a small but high impact change. And for the Hungarians, I would say like try to experiment a bit more with oversized pieces and with these unisex pieces, because they can be exciting and give a new touch to your wardrobe. And don't be afraid to try to combine with something else that's like really skinny.
And you know what? I was thinking about that maybe it's also sometimes hard to experiment for people because they care about the other person's opinion. They care about, if I wear this, what they're gonna say about me. If it's like oversized, then they're gonna think that I don't know what my size is, for example.
Yeah, it's interesting how it can really hold us back what the others think. But I think that's an amazing thing about clothes, that you wear it for one day, you decide, okay, it wasn't that comfortable or it wasn't the best choice. Then there's the next day and you can wear something else. For example, the hair, you cannot do the same. You change it, that remains for months like that. just to try to be authentic. Of course, listen to the feedback of people, because I always say that as a stylist, which was your most complimented piece, because that definitely says something about that it really matches your body type and your personality. But also really try to assess how you feel about it, how you feel in that piece, and don't try to focus too much on what others are saying, because they have their personal preferences. It's like really comes down to taste, and it might be just not their taste.
And I really hope that we could convince you that clothing and fashion or your own style is something that's not superficial. It's something that's you can experiment with, you can try yourself out, as just Bea mentioned. It is something that you can change like within even hours. Like you go home, you don't feel good, you change, and then you are like, yeah, I'm confident, let's go. So I really hope that this conversation was interesting for you, because we found some really interesting topics and studies. There are plenty of studies about this. So we know that what you wear can really symbol who you want to be, who you are, how you want to be perceived, which is really interesting and worthy to think about, and think about how you want to be seen. So I invite you to, experiment with what you are wearing. I invite you also, if you don't have the time and the energy, also to accept that this is not the time for that. And I also invite you to look for specialists, for example, as for Bea, and work with a stylist. It is actually, I think, pretty helpful when there is somebody also looking through your clothes and also saying this is what fits you based on your body type. So why are we so fixated on wearing these specific items? So thank you again, Bea, and I really hope that again you enjoyed it. And please let us know if you want us to talk about more, because actually I have so many other topics that are related to fashion and clothes, and I think and I hope you would be also open to have more of these kind of conversations.
Absolutely, I really enjoyed it.
And then Faircase Podcast is a podcast where I invite everyday heroes, and then I also invite specialists where we talk about topics that are always connected to growth. So I am super focused on self-growth, and also just when it comes to about you and how to have this like fulfilled life. Of course, it is something that we can never achieve. So anyhow, Faircase Podcast can be found on YouTube. This is where you can rewatch all the episodes in video format. And then you can also just listen to on Spotify and then also Apple Podcast. If you are also interested what's going on behind the scenes and what am I doing and who are going to be the next guests that I invite, then I encourage you to follow me on Instagram and then also on TikTok. Bye.
Bye.